49 degrees downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Weather sponsored by Renner Garage Door, forward and back, RENNER.
Cardinal Cowboy here. Renner Garage Door has you covered. Renner's been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. RennerDoorSTL.com.
RENNER, RENNER.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer.
And by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
Now, the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
There's a lot coming up on the show today, and a Tuesday is a great day to talk baseball. The Cardinals in Grapefruit League play. Nothing today is ongoing, but we are getting closer and closer to the regular season on the 26th when the Cardinals will host the Tampa Bay Rays. It is Bernie Miklas, Tom Ackerman. We've got Matt Pauley now checking in with us from spring training in Florida. Matt, what goes on in a day like this when there's no game to worry about?
Not a whole lot. Do we need to hit the little intro thing?
Yeah, let's hit the little thing.
St. Louis Cardinals Spring Training Report. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting. Composting, growing gardens, and making memories. And by Happy Roof. We always create happy endings on the voice of the Cardinals. KMOX.
We haven't talked to you in like 5 minutes, so haven't done the thing anymore. You've been too busy with play-by-play for us.
Yeah, it's been, but today, you mentioned today being an off day. It is nobody shows up. Everybody's able to just take a breath, which is good because it's been, you think about the day after the Super Bowl, that's when things really started with pitchers and catchers reporting, and they've been going, and it has not been, and no opportunity to stop. So today's that first day where guys are able to take a breath, and then they'll pick things up again coming up tomorrow.
Hey, Matt. By the way, looking forward to doing Sports Open Line with you tonight. That'll be fun. I want to ask you this. Obviously, in spring training, there's a lot of competition. But the one area that really intrigues me, because Ali Marmol is it's like an open mic night at a comedy club or something. He just keeps running all kinds of players in left field, hoping that somebody will catch fire, so to speak. How do you assess the battle? I mean, it's just so complicated in a way because you got some infielders out there, and I don't know. I'll shut up. You take it away.
Yeah, nobody has established themselves in any way, shape, or form as being the guy who's going to go out there. That's for sure. So I think if the season was starting right now, it would probably be Nathan Church if it's a right-handed pitcher, and it'd be Jose Fermin if it's a left-handed pitcher on the mound. I think those guys are the guys that are kind of the leaders in the clubhouse here at the moment. But at the same time, I do think that somebody like Nelson Velasquez still has an opportunity to make this team. I said it yesterday. He's got to homer his way onto this team. He's got to start hitting homers in spring. And if he does that, he's got a very good chance of making this team. If he doesn't, he probably, doesn't. And Lars Nootbaar does not seem any closer to actually getting on to the field. So I don't think we can even talk about him right now. Nathan Church hasn't played a moment in left field in spring, I believe. Yet I would think that he would be the guy who'd probably get the most opportunities, with Fermin kind of number 2 on that list, and then Sajaci after that.
Do you think Sajaci, Matt, and good to see you in the KMOX townhouse, do you think Sajaci could start in left field on opening day?
If it's a left-handed pitcher starting against the Cardinals, Sajaci could beat out Jose Fermin for that job. Yes, that would be a battle between those two. I think Fermin is the leader right now between Sajaci and Fermin getting outfield play, especially in left field. Now, they're not putting Fermin in center field. Sajaci is the guy that they're trying out in center field, and we saw him play their one game before leaving for the WBC. But if we're specifically talking about left field, I think Fermin has a little bit of an advantage on Sajaci right now.
Just a couple of, now 3 weeks, couple of days more than 3 weeks before we get to opening day here. And I know things can change during the course of spring training. We're well into it already. Do you assume that the storylines we have now, that this is pretty much what we're going to be talking about at the end of the year? Or is there anything that you believe we might have to start paying attention to we're not thinking about now?
Well, at some point, some of these guys at AAA are going to start forcing the issue, and that's going to create some roster stuff that's going to be interesting, especially from a starting pitching standpoint. If a Quinn Matthews, if an Eshawn Henderson, if a Liam Doyle, if a Bryson Motts, if these guys are starting to get to the point where you look at what they're doing at AAA and you say, there's just nothing left for them to accomplish there anymore. And maybe you've got somebody who's struggling in the rotation, or maybe even not even struggling in the rotation. That could become something at some point. And speaking of the rotation, I know this isn't the question you asked, but just since we're going down this path, yesterday it was announced that Dustin May is going to start later this week. I believe on Thursday, he's going to make his first Grapefruit League start. That's going to put some pressure on the Cardinals in finding innings for guys. So you're going to start to see some more piggyback situations where two guys maybe go 4 innings, or one guy goes 4 and one guy goes 3. And then that's going to leave a whole lot less innings for the relief pitchers. So there's going to be an innings crunch that is going to start now. And that hasn't been a thing they've had to worry about, but that is something to keep an eye on here over the next couple of weeks.
Since we talked starting pitching, let's go there. We talk to Chaim Bloom, Tom Ackerman does in particular every Sunday. And so we're familiar with his thinking, but I do try to catch his interviews elsewhere. And he was on Foul Territory yesterday with AJ Przinsky. And they asked him about stuff that's going down there that in effect really has him kind of excited. He feels really good about it. And he mentioned the pitching they have in camp, specifically the starting pitching. And he talked a lot about the talent and some of the arms. So what is your intel? I think we all agree that it looks like a solid group, but can it be an above average group? Can it be a group that could surprise maybe baseball pundits everywhere, or is that getting too carried away too soon?
Are you talking pitching in whole, or just starting or relief pitching, or
starters?
Okay.
Starters.
Yeah, I like this group. I do. Look, I can get caught up in things. I'm a human being that, you're around stuff. The positivity is flowing. Let's all drink the Kool-Aid. Okay. I get it. That's me. And I'm not going to run away from that, but I like this group. And that's why I don't think this team's going to be horrible. And people push back on me all the time and call me a homer, whatever. Look at the rotation last year where you're running Eric Fetty out there for 3/4 of the season, and you're running Miles Michaelis out there, and you're running a bad version of Andre Palante out there a lot. And now all of a sudden you've got Dustin May, and we'll see a little bit more of him, like I said, starting this week. So maybe we can, speak more intelligently on this once we see Dustin May actually pitch in games. But I loved what we saw from Richard Fitz already. I think it's promising that, Palante adding that kick change and doing some different things in the way that he is approaching hitters after, the league had adjusted to him. I like this rotation. I think this is going to be a group that's going to keep you in the game more often than not. I have no clue how this team's going to score runs. That's the problem with this team. But from a pitching standpoint, I like the starters. I like the bullpen. I think they're going to be good, and that's why I don't think it's going to be a miserable season for the Cardinals.
Can you give us a little more on Hunter Dobbins and what he's doing down there? So you mentioned the number of pitchers that are going right now, so that means you might get some work on the backfields, et cetera, and piggybacking, as you mentioned. How about Hunter Dobbins? Is he getting that knee healthy?
Yeah, so he threw a live BP the other day because he's still not at a point where he's really fielding his position in competitive situations. He has started doing some practice, some PFPs, where he's fielding his position a little bit. And for folks who don't know, he's coming back from an ACL tear. So his arm is in great shape. He has been able to throw. His arm is right where they want it to be. So once they feel good about his lower half and his ability to actually, move around the way you need somebody to be able to move around and field their position, it's not going to take long for him to ramp up. But they're being overly careful, overly deliberate in how they move forward with him. So he did a live BP. At some point that will advance to simulated games, and then maybe, just maybe, he gets into a Grapefruit League game before the end of spring. In my mind, the calendar is the calendar. We're at a point now where I don't really view Dobbins as a guy who's likely to be available for the rotation on opening day. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be long thereafter that he's available.
Is it worth it to have a conversation about Lars Nootbaar right now? Or is this the kind of thing that maybe, hey, we'll check back in a couple of weeks and see where we are?
Yeah, that's where it's at. And he's not going to take long to get ready. But this is, a couple months ago when I was filling in for Tom on Sports on a Sunday Morning, Chaim Bloom said there is a possibility that Lars is not going to be available for opening day. But if he's not available for opening day, it should not be a long absence thereafter. So he's not really, he's doing some baseball activities, but nothing really from a competitive standpoint at this point. So we wait. I think that's the thing. We just wait and see, and they'll give us an update when they have an update on him. I'm not overly worried about this. I don't think they're being the one thing in the previous Cardinals regime, there was always the idea of, okay, are they being totally forthright with us? You think about the Tommy Edman situation where they moved the goalpost every 2 weeks, seemingly. So far, and until they do something to make me feel the other way, so far under Chaim Bloom, it has been so incredibly transparent. So I don't have like a reason to believe that they're not being completely forthright with what's going on.
How do you handicap the catcher situation? I mean, it's too soon to know, to really draw anything from Herrera's one start the other day. But what's the whispers like down there? Do they like the progress he's making? And do you think they'll carry 3 catchers?
I do. If you include Herrera as a catcher, I do think they'll carry 3 catchers this year. He looked fine back there. He got a 3-inning outing defensively this past weekend. Nobody ran on him. At one point, he attempted a back pick throw. The throw looked like it had some zip to it, and it was right on target. I've watched him throw on his own off to the side. Like I'm not Kevin Wheeler where I'm going to sit here and break down the throwing motion of a catcher. But it looked fine to me from my amateur eye. I think in a perfect world, I think they'd like to have him catching maybe a day or 2 a week, and then we'll watch the battle play out between Jimmy Crooks and Pedro Pajes, and not that Joel Pozo is out of this either, and he's having a pretty solid. He's coming up with a hit here and a hit there. I just think it works out better if the catching tandem is Pajes and Crooks with the occasional Herrera in there. And then you have Pozo if there's an injury, you have Pozo if something else goes down, but more importantly, you have Pozo as a veteran guy to help out Leo Bernal there at AAA.
Yeah, we see Pozo playing first base, so making himself valuable, making this a hard decision so he can stay on the big club. We'll see what happens. If you're going to be on this roster, you got to be able to do a lot of things for them and not just sit around. That's for sure. Matt Pauley never sits around. He's always at it. This is an off day for the Cardinals. My man from the Camo X Townhouse joining us on the Gashouse Gang. Matt, we really appreciate it. Have a great time tomorrow calling that WBC exhibition game as the Cardinals take on Nicaragua.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Dusty Baker is the manager of the Nicaraguan WBC team. So somebody made a joke. I thought they were like taking a shot at Ali, and then I realized what the tweet was. Somebody said that Tony La Russa should come out of retirement for one game, and then it clicked with me. Yeah, let's get Tony against Dusty for one day down here in Florida.
They're probably too tired to fight now, don't you think?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, it's getting up there.
Every once in a while, I like to go take a deep dive and just do the 2003, I believe it was.
At Wrigley?
Wrigley, La Russa versus Dusty Baker. Just YouTube that. It is
screaming at each other from the dugouts. That was something.
I will bleep you up. It's awesome. Matt, good job. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
All right, appreciate it. Bernie Miklasz is with us. Bernie, tell us about our sponsor, Stewart's American Mortgage.
Be happy to, Tom. I do want to talk about Stuart Rosenblum here for a minute. And by the way, please call him Stewie. He insists on it. Seriously, he does. And he is proud to own and operate the most customer-friendly mortgage company in St. Louis and across the river in Illinois. It's called Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. And Stewie's unique for a lot of really good reasons. But what I love about him is he gives everybody his personal cell phone number. Seriously, if you're a customer, you get his personal cell phone number. You got any questions, you call it. If you're someone who just has questions listening to us now, you get his personal cell phone number and you call it, and he'll help you. He'll answer your questions. So put this number on your list, 314-324-4440. And you won't have to wait on hold for a customer service agent, maybe for 2 hours. Not sure if you're going to get the help. But more than anything, Stewie will get you that loan and get it quickly. He'll get everything done for you. And the biggest difference with Stewart's American Mortgage, you pay less because of the bagel loan. He's the only lender that has the bagel loan. You pay zero on fees that other dealers charge for, right on down the list. And if you buy a home and take out a loan for $200,000 or more, you pay zero lender fees. The best thing for you to do is to find out more by just Googling bagel loan or call Stewie directly at 314-324-4440. That's Stewart's American Mortgage.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The 46th Builders St. Louis Home and Garden Show, presented by James Hardy, is back.
This St. Louis tradition returns to America's Center March 6th through 8th.
Shop hundreds of local companies for home improvement deals.
Find ideas, inspiration, and expert advice.
Bring the whole family to watch the adrenaline-pumping off-axis stunt show and the canines in the clouds frisbee dogs.
The Home and Garden Show is back at America's Center March 6th through 8th.
Details at stlhomeshow.com.
Wait, Corey from Air Comfort Service? What are you doing in my basement?
Standing behind our work.
It's 9 p.m.
At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need heating service, no matter the time of day or night, we're here to help with 24/7 emergency service.
So you're just going to stand behind my furnace?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hand me those paper towels then?
Absolutely. For heating service or HVAC maintenance, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
Start your summer early at the St. Charles Boat Show, March 5th through 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center. The top marine dealers from the Lake of the Ozarks will be on site with the newest boats, personal watercraft, docks, and accessories. Step aboard, compare models, and find the perfect ride for your family. Special show pricing and experts ready to help make your boating dreams a reality. Visit lakeoftheozarksboatdealers.com for more information.
Bernie Miklasz on KMOX is sponsored by Stewart's American Mortgage, home of the Bagel Loan, and by Salika Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer.
Gashouse Gang on KMOX with Chris Ranji and Bernie Miklasz. I'm Tom Ackerman. Always good to hear from Matt Pauley. We were kind of breaking down the roster a little bit. Little 26-man roster decision is still a ways away, but it's kind of fun to think about who's what and where. What's kind of interesting is J.J. Weatherholt's not even on the 40-man. So they're going to have to create a spot for him on the 40-man. And then if they need to add another one, which is very possible, they need to put a couple of people on the 40-man. They'll have to make some adjustments there too. So that's always fun to try to figure all that out. Once you get into these off days, it's a fun way to sort of figure out the roster, Bernie. I think I agree with Matt in that I'm not going to go so far as to say the Cardinals are going to be good, but I will say the rotation will be better. And I don't see how it could take a step back. I mean, last year you had a lot of guys serving up some home run balls and whatnot. In fact, Dobbins, Bernie, if you remember, was in that Miles Michaelis game early in the year against the Red Sox, where I'm like, oh no, I mean, really, is this going to be Miles Michaelis all year? And John Mozeliak got mad at me, and on and on. But anyway, I think it's going to be a nice rotation.
to your point about last year, little known fact that I think is actually pretty interesting. When Eric Fetty, Miles Michaelis, or Andre Palante didn't start a game, right? The team had a winning record.
Yeah.
And that's with a bad offense. So you have a great defense. You don't need this staff, this rotation. You don't need it to be dominant. No one at Camo X is claiming they're going to be dominant. They're going to have 2 all-stars. They're going to Cy Young. No one's saying that. But it just shows if you're just solid with this defense behind you and even with the limited offense, and if that rotation stays healthy, and they have more depth in their rotation this year than they've had in a long time. They really do. It's not a huge, gigantic leap to envision something close to a winning record. And again, I say that because of last year and what happened when someone other than one of their 3 worst starting pitchers worked the game. They had a winning record under those circumstances. So I'm just saying there's a lot of ways to look at this. I think reasonable people would agree they are in much better shape this year in terms of rotation depth and overall quality than they were a year ago.
So I don't think it's unreasonable to think they could be a 500 team when the year is over. That would mean they're a 3-game improvement from last year. I mean, what did they do really with the roster in terms of subtraction? And I'm not really counting Arenado because he didn't have a great year. And Wilson Contreras was pretty good, but they subtracted Donovan. They subtracted Sonny Gray. So you would think from that perspective, they should be worse, but it is possible, if we're wanting to be optimistic about this, it is possible that Walker makes a little progress, that Weatherholt has an immediate impact. It's not crazy to think they could be 2-3 games better than they were last year. I don't know that's going to happen. I don't know that I would bet on it happening. I think it's more likely they're 78 or fewer, but I don't think anybody's crazy for suggesting, this could be a 500 team.
And, they might get some help from rookies this year, especially maybe on the pitching side. I've been doing a study the last night, and I was trying to determine, how rookies have done under Ollie Marmol since he's been the manager. And I'll just leave you with a conclusion. It's actually a lot better than I think most people would assume. But the pipeline's been running dry, so he's had fewer good rookies talents to work with, especially when it comes to starting pitching. But that's the interesting thing. When you give Ollie Marmol like rookies who have legitimate talent, the overall track record's good. It's good. Yeah. And Nolan Gorman was good as a rookie. Jordan Walker was good as a rookie. Yeah. Nolan Gorman was really good in his second year. Okay. They fell apart after that. So that's the challenge, to get the rookies who are good as rookies, to get them back on track. And that's going to be a challenge, but it's not like a crazy fantasy to think that those 2 guys in particular will be respectable this season. See, I'm setting the bar rather low. Just be respectable, and I think that's hardly crazy to think that's possible. I see Tom Ackerman. What are you doing with that? That look on your face is like, I don't know what that means.
I'm just listening. No,
you're freaking me out.
No, I'm laughing because I'm looking at last year's standings. What's kind of interesting is that last year, I think people think the Cardinals were like 20 games under 500 last year. They were actually 78 and 84, and they lost the last 4 games of the year. Like, I went back because you ever do a text exchange with somebody and you hadn't texted each other since last September. So there was somebody that sent me a text today, and I sent him one back. And our last text was, he said, have the Cardinals been mathematically eliminated yet? And I had said, no. I said the Mets still have to win for that to happen. I'm looking at the standings here. The Mets didn't make the playoffs. They were 83 and 79. The Reds did at 83 and 79. The Giants won their last 4 games to finish at 500, 81 and 81. The Cardinals lost their last 4 to end up 6 games under 500. My point is, there were only 5 really good teams in the National League last year. The Phillies, the Brewers, the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Padres. Everybody else was kind of hovering around 500 or below. I guess my point is, you could actually find yourself in the mix if you're a 500 team. If like a Mets, somebody like that collapses and falls back, it's really interesting to go back and look at that. And I think it's not a stretch for both of you to say that they could be a 500 team. I'm going to have to see a lot of offense out of this team because I am concerned about that. I don't see a ton of bats. I am going to ask you this, Bernie, because I got raked over the coals about this last year from all of you when I suggested that Mason Wynn should be the leadoff guy. And the reason was not that Mason Wynn's a bad guy or anything, but that there were better candidates. Well, now I think, Bernie, wouldn't you say he is now the leading candidate to be your leadoff guy? And
Wynn?
Yeah.
He shouldn't be.
No, but he is the leading candidate at this point. I guess my question to you is, has he shown you signs of improving in that area, and what does he need to do to get to the top of the order? And while you're answering that, because your answer is going to be he shouldn't be at the top, where should Mason Wynn bat in this order?
Well, he, when you look at his best offense, it came from lower in the lineup, and I don't know whether he was comfortable there, whether he felt his role was different down there. Put up great numbers, batting 7th, 8th, or whatever. Listen, I just did a video for STL Sports Central, and to me, J.J. Weatherholt is the obvious choice at leadoff because everywhere he's played, every season he's been, he has never had an on-base percentage. This is summer ball, college ball, minor league ball. He's never had an on-base percentage lower in a season than .406. He draws a ton of walks. He doesn't strike out. He works counts. And he hits left-handed pitching pretty well. He hits right-handed pitching very well. When you have a guy who's an on-base machine, he should be your leadoff hitter because that was one of the Cardinals' worst areas last year. They didn't get enough walks. They didn't get on base enough. That's statistically correct. I love everything there is about Mason Wynn except seeing him bat leadoff. The last 2 years, he's had over 500 plate appearances in the leadoff hole. And he has a 280 on base percentage. And that 280 on base percentage among 40 hitters that batted leadoff, like at least 400 plate appearances, the worst on base percentage in baseball over the last 2 years. I see no rationalization for batting him leadoff.
No, I don't either. And I agree with you. And so that's why I brought this up. My question is, what's the problem? Like, what do you think is the issue with him there? And what does he need? What does he need to work on to get himself to the top of the order? Or is there any future for him at the top or near the top of the order?
Number one, his walk rate's really low. When you have a leadoff man who's going to be good, I'm not saying the guy's got to get, have like a 15% walk rate, but it's got to be better than 5%. He doesn't walk enough. And, I just think he's a young player, and I always got to remember that. I think that it's one of these things where you put him in the leadoff hole, and it's okay, I got to do this. I'm a leadoff guy. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. I just don't think it comes naturally to him, and he might overthink it a little bit. Whereas I think J.J. Weatherholt, for example, he's wired to be a leadoff hitter. That's who he is. I think Lars Nootbaar is the same way. I think when Donovan, for the most part, was the same way. So I think a lot of it, Tom, is the mentality. Getting comfortable knowing I got to take some walks. I probably shouldn't swing as much as I do. Be a little more selective. I think that's where it starts, my friend.
And let me ask you this question. I know what my feeling is on it, but do you have any concern about taking a guy who is still pretty inexperienced, throwing him onto this roster and saying, you are the leadoff guy? Because some dudes can't handle it. I know how I feel about it. I'm wondering how you feel about it.
No. Plug in and play.
Yeah.
If you heard the stuff that Marmol and his teammates are saying about him, I mean, he's a unique personality. The Cardinals haven't had a guy like him for quite a while. I mean, he's got the Bryce Harper thing. And what I mean by that is J.J. Weatherholt, he goes up thinking, this guy's not going to get me out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, he's just not going to get me out. And he can be 0 for 11 when he says it. I mean, this guy in spring training, he's he's actually got on base more often than he's made an out so far. That
amazing.
doesn't happen.
No, he's amazing. You heard my interview with him on Sunday. I said, you're gonna have to hold me back on this guy. You got to tell me something that he doesn't do well. And he said, okay, we had a couple of backhand plays that he got tested out there. We're gonna have him work on that. But man, he is just a phenomenal talent, and he is a natural leadoff guy. There's no question about it. I mean, he's got all the tools to be that first guy that gives you trouble in that Cardinals order, and could be that for a long, long time. We're past it. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know that there's a more confident hitter in their lineup than JJ.
I agree.
Yeah, that's the thing. That would be my one concern with a young player is, does he have the confidence to handle that? Because that's a pretty big load to carry if you're a new player and you are thrust into a leadoff position. As far as I can tell, I don't have any reason to be concerned he couldn't handle that.
Yeah, it's pretty special stuff. We're past a break. We'll take it now. We'll come back. And something else, we haven't really talked about the Marmol extension. I know Bernie talked about it the last couple of days, but I do want, for Gashouse Gang purposes, to have Bernie and all of us actually to discuss this rationally, and we'll do it when we come back. Right now, I want to tell you about making a rational decision. When it comes to decks, patios, sunrooms, screen rooms, outdoor living, there's only one. That's Chesterfield Fence and Deck. ChesterfieldFence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck. And how do I know that with confidence? Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been in business since 1968. You don't do that and stay that long unless you're the best. 58 years of building fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, coming up with creative options for you, outdoor living, outdoor kitchens, pergolas, all the things that you can do outside with your home. And the summers in St. Louis are one thing, but man, those falls in St. Louis, sitting out there with a cup of coffee on a Saturday or having a party on a Saturday night in the spring, summer, fall. Chesterfield Fence and Deck can make those dreams come true. Go to chesterfieldfence.com to learn more and mention me, Tom Ackerman. You will receive 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project. With Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
Hey guys, it's Dave from The Glover Show, trying to explain The Glover Show. So when I was a younger man, I used to go to happy hour almost every night, and I loved it. And I've always thought of my show as being like happy hour. It's always interesting. It's often silly, but not always. There are real things to talk about amongst friends, politics, and personal things. So that's what it is, really. It's happy hour for thousands of us every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. And I hope you'll tune in and join the happy hour.
Neovitin began with one doctor's mission to help others feel their best. After years of caring for patients, Dr. Ken Ribicki, a St. Louis physician, created Neovitin, a line of multivitamins designed with quality, safety, and everyday wellness in mind. Each formula is made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients to support real people living real lives. Discover the difference today with Neovitin, available at Schnucks, Deerbergs, and neovitin.com. Neovitin, trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
Now, KMOX weather from the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk.
Cloudy and 46 degrees in St. Louis. Could have some showers or a thunderstorm later on. We'll have a high of 57. And tonight, a low of 47.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-894-7722. That's 800-894-7722. Again, 894-7722.
Have you got a sweet tooth?
Adam Fritz with Fritz's Frozen Custard, and we're proud to announce we're open for our 44th season. For over 4 decades, our family has been serving up rich, creamy frozen custard, delicious sundaes, concretes, and all your favorite Fritz's treats. Whether it's your first visit or part of your family tradition, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Be sure to visit our Facebook page to check out our latest news and updates, where our family looks forward to serving yours at Fritz's.
Best up in town, so you better get around. Fritz's Frozen Custard. Yeah!
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling.
And by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis and Chesterfield Fence and Deck.
On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
We're back on the Gashouse Gang with Bernie Miklas, our Tuesday and Thursday contributor on this fine show, and Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. Matt Pajeski, Frank Ladd, our producers. We had Matt Pauley on the show today. Always fun to talk some baseball on the program. Oh, look, James O'Sullivan's also in. We're going to throw him in there as well. What's up, James? James O'Sullivan is a fine producer if I ever saw one. Let's do this. Let's talk about Ollie Marmol for a minute. Now, don't get all wound up. Don't get all heated. Just hear me out. And I'm not talking to Bernie and Chris because they're on board with this thinking. I have not one time stepped up here and said, this is a brilliant move by the Cardinals to extend Ollie Marmol. This is like the expected move like a year ago or more than that. I mean, it's just, I'm not trying to insult the intelligence of anybody here. I'm just saying maybe it's because I had a lot of great baseball people who I keep in touch with throughout the year who didn't understand it. So I just want to turn this over to Bernie Miklas for a minute, and I'll set him up in that. Bernie, when Ollie Marmol became the manager of this team in 2022 with a very nice roster, he won the division. In 23 and 24 with a roster that started to go backwards a little bit, didn't do what it had to do. And in 25, obviously, he had the pitching staff that we just described last segment. The records didn't go the way of 2022. But my point is that this is a 2-year project that Chaim Bloom has embarked on, and he could have very easily made a move, and he did not. This is Chaim Bloom saying that this is not Ollie Marmol's fault. I see something. Let's move forward. I think I'm the surprising thing is that there were a lot of people that thought for some reason that something else was going to happen. And I don't see why that is, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I suppose it was wishful thinking, and I'm not being a smart aleck. It's just kind of the way it's gone for Ollie. It's interesting to me because I think a lot of us, and even I did for a while, kind of missed the whole point of Ollie Marmol getting the contract extension. It isn't that Chaim Bloom was thinking like, well, gosh, we're going through a rebuild, so we're not going to win probably. He's thinking that privately. We're probably not going to win for a couple years. But maybe then, kind of look at maybe we need a different type of manager. Ollie's a manager for a rebuild, and then we'll look to somebody else. Just the way the Cubs brought in Joe Madden as they were coming out of a rebuild. The point that people are missing, again, including me for a while, is that Chaim Bloom really, really, really likes Ollie Marmol and thinks he's really good. So it's not as if it's like he just, well, this is kind of the easiest way to do this, and it's okay to bring him back. It's fine. We'll look at it later. No, he really wanted Ollie Marmol to be the manager, and he took a year and a half, maybe even longer, to get to know him really, really well. He was treating Ollie Marmol as if he was going to be his manager about a year and a half before Chaim Bloom even moved into the office. Like, this was This was in the works the entire time because they have such a great partnership already. And if you're going to go into a rebuild, you better have your president of baseball operation and your manager. You better have those two guys on the same page, understanding the priorities, understanding what has to go down in a rebuild. You can't manage a certain way all the time because it's about developing young players. It might cost you some wins, but they are of the same mindset about how you proceed through this rebuild. And Ali's on board with all of it. And Ali has got a really good track record in his career of working with and developing young players. Nobody bats 1,000 in that, but his overall track record's really good. So, yeah, I don't know why anybody would really have a problem with it, but people are entitled to see it as they want it. It's interesting, too. He's still the second youngest manager in baseball, but there's only 10 managers right now in the major leagues who have more experience managing in the major leagues than Ali Marmol. So if I could ask everyone politely, can we sort of move away from this idea that, well, you got to have an experienced manager, or you got to have this, he's too young. Can we just sort of move that over to the side? Because it's just not true.
Well, the problem
there's only 10 managers have managed more games in the big leagues right now than him. Sorry there, Ron.
No, that's okay. I mean, the problem with wanting somebody who is more established, which I envision the people you're talking to, that's what they want. They want somebody who is already a known commodity and is known to be a winning manager. The problem with that ask is you're not going to get somebody like, and I'm not saying Terry Francona because he's already got a job, but Terry Francona doesn't want to come manage here because this isn't a roster that's built to win right now. If you want somebody like that, you better be ready to win. That's first of all. Secondly, I need people to convince me that Marmol is not good at his job, and I need evidence beyond, well, they only won 78 games last year. Because if that's your evidence, I don't think you're really good at correlation. Because the problem with the roster last year, with the team last year, was not managing, it was not coaching, it was roster. The roster just wasn't good enough. And that's how it is in baseball. If your roster's you can't win a horse race with a stable of donkeys. And the Cardinals, it's not like they didn't have all bad players. They just didn't have enough good horses. That's why they didn't win last year. That's why they didn't really win the year before that. And they're not going to win again until they have good horses.
Tom, let me throw this in too. And I know that this kind of stuff is gobbledygook to a lot of people. And I respect that. But I've always looked at, I go to a site, a guy who's kind of a legend in the business, Clay Davenport, who's really good at sort of cutting through the what to get to the bottom line. According to his metrics, Ali Marmol as the Cardinals manager, 4 years, the Cardinals won 15 more games than they should have. Every single year he's been the manager, they never lost more games than they should have. There are plus 15 in that column. When you go by run differential, all those also strength of schedule, things like that. There are plus 15. With a team that's, to put it politely, has been in transition and is actually the bottom's kind of fallen out since the start of 2023. Yet, I think we all agree on this generally. What do I look for in a manager? They all have different kind of rosters. Some have much better rosters than others. Some have terrible rosters. Some have awesome rosters. The first thing I look at, are they getting the most out of the talent that they have to work with, the talent that was handed to them? With Ali Marmol, the answer is, for me, is a very easy and unequivocal yes. And there's a couple, he's one of the very best bullpen guys running a bullpen in the major leagues. And all the stats, facts bear that out too. So yeah, I don't know. And I always go back to my favorite one, and people ignore it because it drives them crazy when I bring it up. First 4 years as a Cardinal manager, Tony La Russa, 493 winning percentage. First 4 years, Ali Marmol as a Cardinals manager, 502 winning percentage.
And it is a great opportunity for Ali Marmol to have a group that he can mold and shape now. It's like having a canvas, and he can paint the picture of the Cardinals for the next couple of years and build them into a winner and have them have he's got their back, they have his. The continuity, it sounds good, and I don't see why Heim wouldn't do it. And now you put your trust in Heim that he knows what he's doing too. I mean, this is an organizational move that has been in the works for a while, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this all works together. With Bernie, with Chris, I'm Tom. Bernie, can you tell us about a great sponsor, Saliga Heating and Cooling?
I would be delighted to, because it's such a positive thing. It really is. First of all, the Saliga family, great St. Louis family. They have owned this business, Saliga Heating and Cooling, since 1927. 4 generations of Saliga. Dan Saliga now. So let me see if I get this straight. Continuously owned by the Saligas have been taking care of St. Louis families, heating and cooling, for 100 years. I mean, that is just awesome. I mean, come on, you got to be great at what you do, and you got to earn trust, amazing amount of trust, to be able to last and still be going strong 100 years later. Hey, the Mickleses have been calling Saliga and heating and cooling for help for a long time. We know all about it. They come to your home when they say they're going to. They're professional. They're classy. They don't leave you hanging. They don't try to hustle you. They don't try to talk you into something. They're not going for the most expensive solution. They want to earn your trust, and earning your trust means looking for a solution that's less expensive than perhaps some others, but it'll work just fine. Explaining all your options patiently, answering every question you have, making sure you understand what your choices are. It's just great service from a family that has a history of great service. Go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com to see what this Daikin Comfort dealer has to offer you in terms of services. And take a look at their maintenance program, the Priority Club. You'll save money with that. The phone number is there as well. Saliga Heating and Cooling.
Ryan, live in concert.
It'll be fun about those clubs, I'm telling you, baby.
With the songs you know by heart.
You can see now.
One night, one stage, an unforgettable night of raw, honest music. Tickets available now at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRESH to get an extra 35 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus.
At Gray Bar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Gray Bar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. Tax season is here, and Missouri families are already seeing the real impact of the Working Families Tax Cut Act. House Republicans are delivering real results for hardworking Missourians. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, the bill is projected to raise wages in Missouri by about $3,000 to $6,000 over the next 4 years. That's more money for groceries, gas, and greater security for your family's future. In Congress, I'm working to protect working families, strengthen our economy, and ensure you are keeping more of your hard-earned money.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Bernie Miklasz on KMOX is sponsored by Stewart's American Mortgage, home of the Bagel Loan, and by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin Comfort dealer.
Final segment, Gashouse Gang. Just a few minutes with Bernie and Ranj. Tom Ackerman here. You wanted to address a comment?
There's a comment coming in on YouTube. You can leave us comments, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter at KMOX Sports. This is from KT, who checks into the show, I think, pretty much every day. And he says, in regard to Ollie, he says, I don't see young players getting better with him nor improving year to year, but I'm trying to be reasonable. And I assume he's talking more about Walker than anything else. And I mean, yeah, okay, fine. Jordan Walker hasn't improved, but would you say Mason Wynn hasn't? I would say I'm still counting Burleson as a fairly young player. He's under 28. He's gotten better. Herrera's gotten better. And I mean, it's a strange roster. It is a younger roster, but you don't have all, rookies, first and second year players in it. You have a lot of those, but I just don't agree with the premise that nobody is improving under him.
Yeah.
And even if they weren't, that's not necessarily the measure of a manager whose job is to make the lineup and use the bullpen appropriately and create a good environment, which is what he's been doing.
True. And KT did say, we have to stop looking back as hard as it is and look forward. And he's probably right about that. Ollie has been with the Cardinals for 20 years, says MB McGinn. He's a Cardinal through and through. Yes, he is. And Eline says Bernie's right. If Marmol won 15 more games than the roster should have, he's not the problem. He's the duct tape holding the rotation and team together. Bernie, what if I told people that if you didn't have Ollie Marmol last year, you would have had a worse record? That could very well be.
Yeah. Even the 2022 team, they won 3 more games than they should have based on the underlying metrics. I respect the question, and I respect the fact that KT's got an open mind about it. But listen, there's two obvious cases, Walker and Gorman. Although Gorman's first 2 years were good, Walker's first year was really good. Between the two of them, they've played 7 major league seasons. 3 of them have been good, but they've gone off track. So they got to fix it. And if you want to, some of that responsibility, the manager's got to find a way to do everything that he can to do that. But it's also up to the players to accept coaching and actually try to implement, what they're told to do. Ollie's had a lot of success with young players. We don't have time, but I'm looking at the list now. He's had a lot more success than people assume. That's all I'll say with that.
It's very well said. And as always, Bernie Miklasz brings it on the Gashouse Gang. We love having you on, pal. It's a pleasure. We'll get you back on Thursday.
Looking forward to it, man. And I'll be with Matt Pauly tonight on Sports Open Line.
Oh, very good. I love that. Chris Ranji, always a pleasure, my friend.
You got it, buddy.
We do it all, man. Today was all baseball, but yesterday we talked Cardinals, Blues, Mizzou, SLU, Illini. I had somebody say, where's City? I'll tell you where City is tomorrow, 12:30. Dale Shilley will be
Dale Shilley
on the Gashouse Gang. You know what else we're going to do tomorrow? Lots and lots of college basketball. It's time. It is time.
Big game for the Pelicans tomorrow.
Big game for the Billikens, for Arch Madness, for everybody. Everybody's going nuts. It's college basketball time. Thanks for joining us on the Gashouse Gang on KMOX. The DGS is next.